The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello, and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist, Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the illegitimate cousin of Robin Sparkle, that is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him. And guess what? We've got a guest.
Yeah.
It's me, the ceramic bowl full of shrimp heads and Mary Rose sauce.
There you go.
Alex Heichelbech. Also he, him pronouns.
Spoiler. No.
Yeah, so welcome back. It's been a while. We had like another one we'd been talking about doing with you for a long time, and we'll get to that eventually, but we all kind of started talking about the substance and decided...
Yeah, we don't need to rush into that other one. I think that might be a Patreon-only episode or something. It's a rough watch.
We'll see what happens, right?
Absolutely.
So
we're back. I'm super excited.
As you can tell, we're talking about a very dignified movie. That is, and we're going to give it a lot of gravitas, as we were talking about earlier. That's going to be, as you said, The Substance.
Yeah, award-winning at this point. Demi Moore won her Golden Globe, and I'm sure... I don't know that... I'm kind of curious to see what the Oscars does with this, because this is like next level weird for Oscars. You know, they will eventually or occasionally like throw a bone to like genre stuff, but like this thing has some levels of body horror and gore and nudity, and I mean it's just a lot of things that the Academy doesn't love. So
I think this did get the longest standing ovation at Cannes this year, which I don't know if there's... I'd love to see the correlation between standing ovation and awards. There's got to be a connection there, but I agree, this could be a hard sell for some of the fuddy-duddies.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we got to give Trauma credit for coming up with... right? This is basically a trauma film without being a trauma film.
If you describe the like basic, like what you see on screen, yes, it sounds like it, but it's... As you said, there's a gravitas to this. It's done more seriously and more earnestly, and I
don't know about serious, but earnest, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a dark comedy in a lot of ways, but like, I don't know. I just like the gore is absurd, especially near the end. But like, the nudity is not the gratuitous nudity that we often see in other trauma for sure, but just horror movies in general. This is like intentional and like not really sexy. It's not trying to be sexy.
Even the sexy parts aren't sexy.
Yeah, we'll definitely get more into that as we go for sure. But this movie, and I felt like I just rewatched it for this, and I feel like it's knowing where it's going, like and not feeling like I'm trying to like figure it out, like. I was able to enjoy it a lot more. Like it at points in my first watch, I was like, "This feels like it's a little like on the nose." But like second time, I was like, "No, I know where it's coming from. I'm vibing with it. Like I'm not expecting something different than what it is." So it definitely rewarded a second watch for me.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting. Like the thing I find interesting is it kind of turns the camera. Well, not turns the camera back around on you, but kind of reflects what you're seeing. So it's like, do you think this is sexy? It's like saying, is this really what you like? It's almost accusatory, but almost in a winking way.
I couldn't agree with you more, Anthony. Like, it's not subtle. There's I don't know if there's any metaphors used, because I guess it's a metaphor for like plastic surgery, but it doesn't try to hide it as something else. Like, they could have done this exact same movie with just plastic surgery.
Right, but it's not just about plastic surgery. It's how we treat the elderly. It's how the elderly treat the young. There's layers here, or at least that's what I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely about our fear of getting old and being unattractive, like, collectively, especially, I mean, I think it's specifically about women's fear of getting old and the way that society treats women who, as they get old, we're all going to luckily just become silver foxes, but you know. But, women have a lot to, I mean, we get the conversation we'll get to very soon with her, with the exec, with Dennis Quaid, that you alluded to, Alex, but like, I mean, he just puts it all on the table. Like, you are no longer useful to us.
Right. We've sapped all of your youth. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing's good past 50, I think. Is
literally, yeah.
Those lines.
Yep.
Yeah.
It all stops at 50, right?
Yeah, there we go. It all stops at 50.
All right, so let's get this party started. First off, we're going to get about 6 or 7 companies, because that's how movies are made. Being Movie Twice, The Match Factory, working title, Blacksmith, working title again. That's how these things are done. Then we get an in vitro fertilization of Herbert West reagent.
Yeah. Yeah, we get like an actual egg, like, poured out on a table, egg yolk, egg white around it, and they inject it, and the yolk like duplicates.
Right.
So we're right away, like, they're kind of showing us, I presume this is like early testing of the substance, but it's kind of giving us an idea of how the substance is going to work.
Right, exactly. How it's supposed to work. Then we're going to get a bunch of people making up Elizabeth Sparkle's star on the Walk of Fame, and that aging.
This was a really good way to like give us a lot of like backstory about Elizabeth Sparkle with like just a quick montage.
Right.
We know that she was huge at one time. She got a star, and then we just have people walking over it, forgetting about it. We see, it get weathered, it gets a crack. A guy dumps food all over it and like smears. He drops food and then he tries to clean it up with his shoe. And who is stepping in ketchup on purpose? Like, what kind of monster does this? But,
they're out there, Anthony. They're there.
It perfectly mirrors. I mean, it bookends the movie.
Yeah.
We get the injection of the egg, which is like, get ready for some weird science, and then we get the star covered in this case ketchup, and then we're going to get an almost identical shot at the end of the movie. I liked it also as we're watching the montage of the star. It like, you keep hearing it crack like over time, so it's that slowly kind of fade. So again, it's not subtle. If like you could watch the egg thing and then the Hollywood star and read like a brief description of the movie and be like, okay, I think I've seen the movie now. You don't have to actually see any of the Cronenbergian stuff that happens later on.
You just got to get there. But my question is, the most unbelievable part of this movie is, I don't really see them having that much snow in Hollywood that we're going to get covering her little walk or her little star.
Maybe it was just part of a movie set.
Yeah, it
filming
could be
an episode of something there, and it was just fake snow.
It's a Wonderful Life, Part 27,
exactly.
The Revenge.
So eventually, we see her star has faded, and we then cut to actually seeing Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Demi Moore, and she is filming like a classic kind of like exercise tape.
It's jazzercise.
Sparkle your life with Elizabeth.
Right.
So is the big sign.
By the way, like,
set
in this day and age,
present
jazzercise is still a big thing.
That's
even during
like this is a thing that has definitely died out as a trend. Like, you don't really see this kind of thing anymore, which but it is definitely set now. This is not in the 80s. This is, and I think maybe that's just like, this is a way to really just physically show bodies as, both old and young, and also kind of maybe put us in a place where it's like, this is not our world. It's a little shifted, 1 degree left of that or something. And in this world, people still watch, like live jazzercise tapings. It's almost like instead of The View, we're just continuing to like, do like Jane Fonda workout tapes on.
Yeah, it was the weird anachronism for this one, because my first thought was like, what year is it supposed to be? But he does have a like modern smartphone, and there's some other like modern vehicles, but that like the pinnacle of media here is jazzercise. And throughout the movie, they never really talk about money. Like, it's never referenced. No one ever pays for anything or talks about dollar amounts. They just talk about like fame as this nebulous currency that can be used, and just the idea that like the top isn't, a AAA blockbuster. it's a 30-minute jazzercise TV show. Like, those are the stars we've got here. So I like that kind of unique anachronism they had there.
It is. It is. But also, it's a special day for Elizabeth. It's her 50th birthday, and everyone's reminding her like this was her execution day.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's wishing her happy birthday. She leaves the set and walks down this hallway, and again, kind of like showing us that she's been doing this forever. Yeah. It's this long hall, and it has all of these promo posters from over the years of her with different hairstyles and different, I mean, it's all still kind of just like spandex clothes. Like, the clothes don't change much, but like, we're led to believe this has been going on for decades.
Right, almost impossibly long, right? It's like the 60s and 70s stretch an additional 10 years each.
Yeah.
And I really liked the shot that they had there, because during her workout thing, it's the way that it's lit and shot, she looks very young and very attractive. Yeah. And as soon as she goes into the hallway, which I just constantly, my notes have written as the Kubrick hallway.
It is.
It's ripped directly from The Shining. As soon as she walks in the hallway, she's filmed from the side.
Right.
In front of one of the posters of her younger, and you see that, like, again, she's still very attractive. Yeah. But you see that, like, she doesn't look the way that she does on camera. She's, everything's not as tight and where it should be. So that's the first shot of, like, okay, this is who she's actually become. Again, like, Eric said, on her 50th birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to, like, further emphasize this, she gets to the end of the hallway, and the women's bathroom is out of order, so she decides to go into the men's room.
Okay, that's disrespectful. like just knowing all the ladies that I know, and the fact that, like, they're like, where's the restroom? That is usually their first question when they go into a place. I'm not trying to be, a certain way. The ladies I know have usually asked that. And I think it's a point to that, because they intentionally don't care about her, in that they haven't taken care of this important part of her life.
Yeah, theoretically, she is the star of this show. She should have a private bathroom, but she's dealing with just the main bathroom. And of course, she goes into a stall and then hears an executive in another stall on his phone, and then he comes out and he's just talking shit about how she's old, she needs to be replaced, we need to get somebody younger and hotter.
Oh, this is Dennis Quaid, baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
I don't know
the
if they
grossest.
Yeah, he really leans into it. He does a great job in this at just like selling out, just being like, I'm going to be the grossest, most horrible version of myself I can possibly be. It's a brave performance for sure.
How much of this is like performance, and how much of this is like impersonation?
I think he's just channeling Randy Quaid. I think that's what he's doing.
He might be
Randy Quaid out of the ether. Because I noticed even during that scene, like, he's, on his phone just saying all this horrible misogynistic stuff. Yeah. He's standing at a urinal. He's also, like, struggling to pee. So it's even pulling in those things like old man with, like, prostate issues and, like, gross teeth. And every time he's on screen, he's filmed through a fisheye lens. And it feels like he's, like, coming out of the screen, and, like, even during the bathroom thing, there's these close-ups on his, like, bloodshot eyes. He was the grossest body horror of the whole movie, honestly. Yeah. I hated him being 100%. Like, I felt like I could smell him, and I hated it.
Oh yeah, especially with the shrimp.
There's not enough hours in the day. I was watching clips of Denethor eating tomatoes to get the shrimp out of my mind. Like, it was the worst food being consumed on screen I think I've ever seen in a movie.
So many sloppy noises.
Yeah. And in fact, that's about pretty much, we go straight from this. Like,
it's the next thing,
Yeah, he leaves the bathroom, and then we have Elizabeth coming out. She looks at herself in the mirror, and, she's obviously has heard all of this conversation and is just really kind of, like, scrutinizing her aged face. Right. We get a lot of scenes of her and, Sue later looking at themselves in the mirror, and of course, on the Frankencast, we often have characters looking at themselves in the mirror because this is how you learn you're a monster.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's kind of what she's like, oh, I've deteriorated. I'm no good anymore.
Right. And that, also that speaks to how awful everyone is to older ladies. Like, the only thing you bring to the table is your appearance. Mm-hmm. No, that's bad. Yeah, get that out of here. But also, we almost get a chapter card with Elizabeth's name. Mm-hmm. I think that's very interesting, because we're going to get that with Sue and another special character later on.
Yeah, TBD.
Yep.
But yeah, then we get to, as we said, they're now at a dinner meeting. Elizabeth and the executive. I don't know if they ever give a name for him. I just wrote exec over and over again.
He's in the credits. It says Harvey, but I don't know if they ever say his name in the course of the movie.
That's an interesting name choice.
That is a deliberate,
isn't it?
Well, because I was just thinking, you said, like, is it parody? And I just recently rewatched Tropic Thunder, and we were talking about how, like, Tom Cruise chose to do this horrible character in it because he hates film execs. Yeah, he hates film execs in general, and he especially hates Harvey Weinstein, and so he just did a parody of him for that film. And this is right up there in a similar vein. So yeah, Harvey is a very interesting choice.
You think Diz maybe knows Harvey, the other Harvey, the one that's in jail right now?
And yeah, as we said, like, I think it really speaks to things that, like, Elizabeth is not, horrific looking. She's not a monster. She is a lady in her 50s. She's Demi Moore. She looks quite good. Yeah. But Harvey, the executive, is disgusting. He is eating these shrimp horrifically. There's just, like, with his hands, there's just stuff going everywhere. But he's a man, so it's fine. Like, no one is worried about how, attractive and appealing he is. He can be disgusting.
He's ogling the wait staff. Like, another server, like, passed the table, and he doesn't even try to hide it. He just swings around and, like, leans down to look at her. The scene also opens at the restaurant of a shot of the back of his neck with a fly sitting on it.
So, I think that's a mosquito, right? Or
it's a fly, because later it ends up in her wine glass.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, right.
But that's how the scene starts, and then it's these close-ups, and it'll be a close-up on his mouth, and then him talking, and then a slow motion close-up, and then at the end we see the table. I mean, it looks like a bomb went off. It was
like he's talking with his mouth full of just shrimp stuff. I don't even know if it's.
And he's not talking with Demi Moore, he's talking to her. I think she only says one thing to him, which is like a clarifying question.
Right.
And then he answers it, kind of buzzes off, and then he sees someone and disappears. It's the only line of dialogue she says to him, I think, in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Which is, I cannot get over how much I hate that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, kudos on that.
This is when he actually has the gall to say, it's renewal's inevitable, it all stops at 50. And then she's like, what? That's the clarifying question that you were asking. And he's like, and then just like, hey, other Harvey. And then goes off to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the same filming there where with the fisheye lens where it looks like he's leaning forward.
Yeah.
And they've got her filmed with the inverse, so it feels like she's fading back. So it jumps back and forth, and it literally feels like he's, almost moving into her space.
Oh, yeah.
God, I hate it. I also read he ate 4 pounds of shrimp while they were filming that scene.
God.
You think that's method acting is what that is.
Jeez.
So yeah, of course, this kind of continues just like that. Elizabeth's having the worst day ever, and that gets worse because she heads home and sees a billboard of her face and is like, oh, I'm still out there. And then we see that like workers are tearing it down, so they're ripping her face off.
She gets distracted,
and then she has a car accident.
Yeah, gets sideswiped.
Yep.
But no injuries, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Hardly a concern. I don't even know why they put that car accident into the movie. It contributed nothing. Oh, wait.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're at the hospital.
And a doctor's like, oh yeah, it's good news, everything's great. And then he's like, oh, I'm looking at your happy birthday. And then she just starts weeping. And the doctor does not, he's like, okay, well, good luck. And he just leaves because he is a man who does not have the patience for a woman's emotion. He has no use for this.
I don't think it's that for sure, but it's also he's a coward. He doesn't know how to confront, to be like, hey, what's wrong? He doesn't have that time or that desire to do that. So he's like, all right, well, I gotta go, bye.
Well, Eric, that'd be some sort of brain doctor, and there are no doctors that deal strictly with the brain, so that's not inside of his practice. He's got a boogie. Yeah. But luckily the nurse, the very attractive, smooth-skinned male nurse stays behind.
Right, smooth skin except for one birthmark that we're drawn to. I wonder if that'll come back later.
Probably not.
Nah. But he says you're a good candidate.
Yeah, there's one more test, and she's like, I thought the doc just said I was done, and he's like, just hold off, and he prods at her spine mostly, and then just kind of like looks over a couple things, and he's like, "Yeah, you're a good candidate," and he leaves.
Yeah.
And then
So we cut out front to the Power Ranger base.
Yeah. And she notices there's a note in her pocket. She pulls it out, and it's like there's a flash drive that says the substance, and then it has a phone number printed on the other side of the flash drive, and it's wrapped in a note that says, "It changed my life."
Right, sure did. So then she's quickly approached by Fred from 10th grade homeroom, who meets her, asks her for a drink. This guy's so smooth. No, he's not. He's the opposite of that. Writes down his number, like, "Hey, we should meet up sometime." Drops it in a puddle and gives it to her. Why would you do that?
He had more paper. He had more paper.
You had more paper.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, I think we're just supposed to make this guy as unappealing as possible so that
Nailed it.
she's not interested, and then later when she is, we know she's really hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and he's like, "Oh, you're still as beautiful as you were in 10th grade," and of course he's a 50-year-old man. He's doesn't look particularly attractive or anything.
Yeah.
And then at home, at first she's like not interested. Does she throw the substance drive away and then, or no, she ends up watching it first and then throws it away.
But also there is a bouquet of roses on her table that specifically says, "You were amazing." Mm-hmm. Just to emphasize, you're past your prime. You can no longer accomplish things because
there's no going back. What possible way could there be to reset what you've done? So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So she plugs in the flash drive, and we get an ad for the substance.
Some heavy beats.
Yeah, we have a really kind of like deep voice, kind of ominous, like monotone voice that's like telling how it works, but it's vague. It's a little confusing, and we have a lot of like quick cuts and like of images to tell this story. But basically, this is a better, younger, new version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And the rules are there are two versions of you, but only one, you're one self. Remember,
you are the Matrix. One. You're inside your own Matrix.
Yeah, and you will have to alternate every 7 days.
Hey, just because I love that whole bit, Eric, can you give me like a little bit of like a deep bassy background thing? Because I've got you are the Matrix. Everything comes from you, and everything is you. A better version of yourself. You just have to share. 1 week for one, and 1 week for the other. A perfect balance of 7 days each. The one and only thing not to forget, you are one. You can't escape from yourself. It's so good. Like, and to the visuals there, it's like the guy has a ball of yellow clay that's like kind of lumped and disfigured.
Right, just rolls it
that he
out,
shows, and then another ball of clay that's like perfectly smooth, and he claps them together. Like, I love how not like vague it is. Like, hey,
right.
You wish that you could be better. Maybe there's a way. It's like, you're this clay. You could be this clay, but you're also both clays. Like, I like how few rules they are. It's Death Note-ish in its simplicity of rules.
Yeah, but of course they're rules, so we got to break them.
There are rules.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it also does say you can't escape yourself.
Yeah, which is very important.
Which that's definitely broken real quick. Okay,
it's the one rule.
So when she watches the ad, the flowers I think kind of inspired her to watch the ad. But when she sees the ad, she's like, "Nah, this is the next level." So she throws it in the trash. It goes out to it kind of looked like a hotel bar to me. It was like kind of classy, but also just like kind of boring at the same time.
Yeah. It was very dated again. It was a very like 60s, 70s, 80s kind of. Yeah, I mean, she powers down like 4 dirty martinis too. Yeah. I'm guessing pretty quick.
Yeah. We just get a quick shot. Like we see a bunch of empty ones and her finishing off the last one. And then we're just back at her apartment where she is vomiting.
Well, she's also reliving her youth because she's watching a younger, more attractive lady talk up a guy. But did you notice this, guys? Like, when they shoot her from the back, when you see her back, like, her spine is almost protruding. And this is going to be mimicked more later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To make her look more older and, gristlier.
Yeah. And so when we get back to her apartment, we have one, like, her bathroom is, like, clinically clean. It's, like, white tile. Everything is, like, pristine. And, again, it's, like, it's a little dated, but it's, like, what like the 70s would call like futuristic modern, like, so it's like a weird sort of vibe there, and so the bathroom, we're gonna spend a lot of time in it, and it's like very antiseptic. And then the rest of her apartment is all reminders of her glory days. It's trophies, it's giant posters from her, heyday as Elizabeth Sparkle. She's just constantly surrounded by her past when she used to be a better version of herself.
Yeah, shag carpet, the big floor-to-ceiling windows, even all of her appliances and like the light fixtures are from decades ago. She's still stuck in that timeline. So.
Right, her glory days. But so she contemplates her orb. I mean, her snow globe, and it has like an image of her. It doesn't look anything like her because it came from a time in which that wasn't a thing. But we've got too much golden flake in here, and she remembers when people loved her. They were cheering her on, taking her picture. She was the greatest thing ever, right?
Yeah. So she ends up smashing the snow globe. Like, she throws it at a poster on her wall, and so for the rest of the movie, that poster is going to have like a shatter mark around one of her eyes. Like, really.
But why are
are
snow globes actually that goopy on the inside? I've never busted one open.
It's usually mineral spirits. That's like slime. There's usually not slime in there, but again, I think that was just like
it's a choice.
Oh, she's covered in slime. That won't be the last time she's covered in slime. This movie, probably.
Right.
So some not so subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But she didn't throw the number away, so we can progress the plot of the movie, which is great.
That's right. She gets brought to a certain scummy alley.
Yeah, and I really liked this. Like, I felt like this was again, not subtle, but like it's this gross alley. There's this little garage door. She uses a card to get in, but the garage door only opens like a third of the way up. So she has to get down on her hands and knees in this filthy alley and debase herself to get into this building.
Yep. Have you guys seen Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's vibes. There's vibes of that here.
And again, like with this being sort of like a metaphor for plastic. I mean, this is like, you got to suffer if you want to look young and hot again. You gotta deal with the pain and the like. The healing time and all of everything that comes to that, like sitting in a doctor's office while they draw on you with Sharpies. Like, none of this is fun and sexy, but it's if you're dedicated to trying to be a younger version of yourself again, this is what you have to do.
Right. This is how you have to fight that time.
Yeah.
But she goes into an Amazon warehouse.
Yeah, it's like when she goes into that door, it's a gross hallway that then leads to another like sort of pristine kind of clean room that sort of resembles her bathroom, except that there are like you said, several like lockers, and she opens the one that matches her key card that they mailed her, and gets her box that also has her number on it.
Right. So when she gets home, busts open the box, it has very specific. This is like the best packaged box I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, lots of little instructions, and it's all these it's got such a good like aesthetic going. Like, it's these simple white cards with like an impact kind of font that just tells you matter-of-factly what you need to do. So you activate once, stabilize daily, switch every 7 days, no exceptions.
And also hook yourself up to this food IV.
Yeah. So we see Elizabeth naked, standing in front of a mirror, looking at herself, and again, it's Demi Moore. She's not, she is still a very attractive woman. She still looks good naked, but she's not perfect. She's not, a 19-year-old anymore. And so, there you do see things sagging in places, and like she didn't like a little bit of cellulite, a little bit of stretch, like these things that are common and okay and perfectly acceptable, but she is really just scrutinizing her body and is not happy about any of this.
Right.
And it's not shot in a sexy way. We have we have a fully naked actress in a room, and it's rare for that to be the case in a movie where it's not like trying to titillate you, and it is not at all trying to.
No. And of course, going back once again in her mind, she hears, remember a better version of yourself. And this is going to go deeper later, but it's like there's already underlying mental issues that she's having. And this is part of that. So she does take the shot. She does watch herself as she's doing so. Then some weird stuff happens, Alex. How would you describe it?
Well, first, it's worth a little bit of Chekhov's substance here. She doesn't use all of it because you didn't need the full injection. So she does a nice injection of it.
But wait, that's a discard after use. Only use once.
Yeah, but you never know. And then the screen fades to black and we don't see the transformation.
Mm-hmm. Not exactly, no.
Sorry,
we do see her pupil split.
I watched the Vietnamese release of the movie. No, we see one of the most jarring on-screen transformation. Not even a transformation, a rebirth. Eric, you mentioned earlier that in the bar we saw this like a very distinct shot of her like exposed back. She was wearing a backless dress with no bra under it. So we saw from, her neck all the way down, her tailbone, and that just splits open. And Margaret Qualley comes crawling out of the back of her. The shot of the eyes was
splitting.
One of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like I don't want to spoil that one by over explaining it, but it is one of the coolest kind of demonstrations of a transformation I think I've ever seen. Huge fan of that.
And as this is ending, though, there's literally a heart of fire that kind of erupts. And I don't know if this is maybe what she's seeing. Like, this is the birth pattern. That's going to be distorted later on when something else happens.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 times that we'll get these sort of like, it's just black with like weird color. It reminded me of like the end of like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Space Baby.
But then it ends with the big flaming heart. I think this is supposed to be something happening inside of her, metaphorically. When we come back from that, we're in like a POV shot of this new creation, this newly born thing. Kind of like, we're seeing what they're seeing as they kind of like stand up and stumble around a little bit. Looking at its own hands and eventually getting to the mirror again. And she is not a Frankenstein monster. She is a very beautiful young woman. Yep. Again, fully naked, but like, it kind of reminded me of like Bride of Frankenstein at first. Like, she seems a little like an animal, like she's kind of scared and like doesn't really know where she is or what's going on. And then we again go to her eyes and they flicker. So Elizabeth has green eyes, and this Sue, we'll get her name eventually, has blue eyes, but for a second they like sparkle green, and then suddenly she just is conscious. Like, she just becomes like a fully sentient person in like a split second.
Right. And of course, she's still checking herself out in the mirror, so we get to go on that journey with her.
And it's sexy for a second. Like, this is the first time, even though we're still in the bathroom, we're someone, that is in the physical prime of their life. It's sexy for a second, and that's immediately ripped away because she has to prep what remains of Elizabeth. And so that requires her to, like, crouch and squat and lean over. Like, she's instantly still fully nude, but is in all these positions that are just intrinsically not sexy. So I appreciate that they didn't have her, she gets down to business and is like, okay, I've got to do these next steps.
Well, when she's looking at her own body, effectively, she literally pukes. Like you said, it's that's sexy for that moment, then
she vomits a bunch of ecto cooler up onto the bathroom floor, and then she's got the rest of the kit out, which is the wound that she just sprouted from on Elizabeth. She has to get that stitched up. Yeah, gets one of the food bags, attached to her intravenously, and then has to use a very unique syringe system to extract what I'm guessing is
spinal fluid.
Looks like spinal fluid, but they never. It's something else nebulous. That she gets 7 little vials of that she has to. That was what it said. You have to use one of those every day to maintain.
Do not.
Yeah,
reuse.
They call it the stabilizer, is what they call it. But yeah, the syringe is. I mean, it's obviously. I don't know that it would really work in the real world, but it's perfect for this. Like, she fills this huge thick syringe, but it like can split off into 7 different little capsules, so that you inject one, throw that one away, and then keep going. Obviously, this is one of the most body horror scenes. I mean, we'll get to some even worse stuff later, but like, it's definitely evoking plastic surgery. We're seeing the stitches, we're seeing all of this. The injections, I think, also kind of like right now definitely like call to mind like Ozempic and all this stuff that like people are injecting different things, right. Which definitely was already a thing when they made this. I think they're definitely intentionally making that reference as well.
Yeah.
We didn't. I think so. Earlier there was a scene where Elizabeth takes a shower. and we get like, you know, we see the shower head, and then we see her from directly above, and you know, again, I thought this was like a rare like moment where the camera let Elizabeth be kind of sexy for a second, but then it started like really zooming in on her body in ways that were, you know, focused on her flaws. And now we have the exact same scene, all of the exact same shots, but now with this new, you know, perfect body, and it really is like, you know, showing us the difference between, you know, the 30-year difference between the two bodies, basically.
And then we're going to see Sue exercising, doing her like almost yoga in front of Elizabeth's old poster that she threw the glass at earlier.
And she sees a classified ad that the studio is looking to replace Elizabeth Sparkle, looking for the next big thing. Yeah, and she's like, you know, that could be me, like literally so.
No.
So I wrote two things here. One, which we'll get into in a second. Sue has the busiest week of any human in recorded history. She does an unbelievable amount of things in a week. What I also wrote, and it's so unclear to me what memories Sue came into the world with.
Right.
And we learned very quickly, and I think we'll get into it. They're not aware of each other. When they make the swap, they have no recollection of what the other was doing the week before. To a certain degree, there's these little flashes that make me think maybe there is some carryover, but it's not clear what Sue knows at this point. Like, she saw the classified ad. Did she not know that studio existed, or did she not know that Elizabeth was famous? Because she mentions later on, well, I didn't grow up watching Elizabeth stuff on TV. So... Right. You know, she knows how to like walk and talk and eat food and drive a car and whatnot. I don't know what, you know, formed memories she carries over, which I kind of like that they're, you know, she comes out of there already being her own distinct person, but not really, because that breaks the rules. They're the same person.
Yeah.
So I kind of got a head scratching over that.
Yeah, there's definitely like a fairy tale quality here where there's just kind of like, we don't need to think about that too much, and like, but yeah, like as you said, there's hints. They'll each of them have like nightmares at some point that kind of like hint to what the other one was doing and stuff. But for the most part, they wake up and they walk around the apartment and they're like, what the fuck did she do while I was asleep? And so there is like a disconnect. But yeah, I think once we see, or like we go straight from her seeing the ad to her audition, and we have some like.
And as she's walking in, basically another lady's walking out. We never see her face. We only see like her backside, and like only a portion of that. And they're like, if only she had boobs where her nose was, which is oddly comes back.
Yeah, the casting guys are just like classic like dirt bags, like. They're trying to cast a perfect body for the show, and that's all they care about. And you know, this is when they ask her name, and she says, "I'm Sue." And so now we've been introduced to, and I think, do we get the title card for Sue at that point?
We do.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, she's got all the right parts in all the right places, and they're into her right away. Again, like the camera is like really lingering all over her body as this is going on. It's just like male gaze leering at her. And I think, like Eric, you said earlier, like it kind of like turns it back on you. Like, is this what you like? You want to look at a close up of butts? Here's some butts. What do you think about that? And like it makes you feel kind of like gross about like, yeah, I do usually like that. What's going on? Like it makes it. There's something about that like it makes the camera male gazes so hard that it makes you not want to anymore.
Right.
Because we don't even see her audition. Like, she literally walks in, and the guys are like, all right. And then she does her audition, and then I guess 45 seconds later, she's in Harvey, Dennis Quaid's office.
Right.
And she's got the job, which is saying, like, she has the busiest week ever. And so he gets introduced again and is offering her a job. We see him immediately disrespect his own assistant.
You mean Cindy? I mean, Isabella.
He's like, what's her name? And she's like, oh, my name's Isabella. He goes, that name is too long. We're just gonna call you Cindy. It's shorter. Right. It's better. Like, the degree of disrespect he has for women is unparalleled.
Yeah, and he goes straight from that to like, okay, Cindy will get you set. Like, he just starts calling her Cindy, like without a, you know.
You're Cindy now. So.
But the fact that it focuses on the nicotine stains in his teeth,
the close-ups.
And surprisingly, they're so into Sue that she tells them that there is one scheduling issue, which is that she travels and is away every other week visiting her mom who's sick. And he's like, I don't care, whatever it takes, I want you. You're exactly what we need. So like, that's pretty flexible. You know, usually in Hollywood they'd be like, there's another hot girl around the corner. We don't need you. But Sue has something special, and they're gonna make it work.
I feel like the caveat that was unsaid there was for now.
Yeah, we'll take care of your mother down the road. And then we get that, again, super busy week. I mean, within a couple of days, there's billboards up. She's doing, like, choreography with her team. Like, she's getting everything ready. We have the, like, American Beauty scene of her, like, falling backwards in slow motion on her satin bed sheets. Like, this is what she wanted. This is perfect.
Yeah, well, this is another thing that happens with the flames, right? This has flames. Her robe has a dragon head on it.
Dragon.
Yeah, and then like she just turns around and falls down in the bed.
But then the week's up.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's time to switch. She plugs. We have this weird sort of IV system that's like, you know, 2 tubes with some sort of valve thing, and blood is coming out of each of them going into the other one.
It's like a 2-way blood transfusion. I don't know how well that would work.
Yeah, and again, I don't like blood. I don't think is really part of this, but you know, we need a way to signify that this is happening.
It can't be. If not, it becomes a psychic thing, and we don't want to add that to this. So there has to be this physical deal. And this is the worst part. I don't know if this was a mistake or if I'm just not smart enough, because this happens a lot when they make the shift, when they're jumping back and forth. The one that is waking up sometimes wakes up, you know, out of a nightmare. It happens a couple of times.
Yeah.
When Elizabeth is waking up, she sees a guy all dressed in black on a motorcycle zooming towards us, which we haven't met at this point in the movie. We haven't met this guy. So I didn't know if it was insinuating that Sue already met this guy earlier in the week, or if this was a continuity error, because it never showed her on screen with him. Or maybe I should stop watching movies this intently. I don't know.
You know, well, not this early. They don't show it for sure. We will meet this guy on the motorcycle later on. But then we cut back to the image of the 2 eggs. But this time they're frying. They're fraying at the edges a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's Elizabeth literally frying herself breakfast.
And then going into work to get fired.
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah. Again, back in the same hallway, and like. She walks in, and we see Harvey at the other end, and he's like, "Oh,
there you are.
We've all been looking for you. Yeah, great." And he like runs towards her, and he's like, "We were going to try to like go get drinks and celebrate, but actually, here's just your box of stuff. It was nice knowing you. See you later," and just like sends her on her way.
This is once again with that fisheye lens that he's like getting right up in your face to where you could smell his breath.
And we also get our first hint here. This is the first time it really tells us for sure that the 2 women are completely unaware of each other, because Elizabeth notices the sign, the billboard for the new show. And she's like, you've been busy. So the first time I watched the movie, I was like, that's wild that, like, it's a legitimate, because correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are not aware of what the other do. So I was like, okay, this is a different, this isn't just I'm putting my head, you know, or my brain in this other body. They become 2 separate entities, which I think it's funny that the organization selling the substance or manufacturing is like, no, you're one person, even though you're not aware of what the other one's doing. You're one person, damn it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's obviously a way to stop the issues that we're going to have later. Yeah. It's like you have to think of yourself as one person, and both Sue and Elizabeth refuse to do that. Yeah. They are separate people.
And then Elizabeth just kind of like veges out in front of the TV for a week, and then Sue starts a new TV show of her doing home remodels, I guess. We get a montage of where, again, I don't know what background she had, but wherever she came from, she downloaded Bob Vila brain, because she builds like a separate secret panic room off of her bathroom because she's tired of looking at Elizabeth's body laying in the, you know, in the actual bathroom. So she just locks her off in a little closet.
If Elizabeth had these skills, just go to HGTV. You'll be a star in no time.
Yeah, House Flippers with Elizabeth Sparkle or whatever. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And then we also get to meet the neighbor, because Sue is doing some demo work building this secret room to put Elizabeth in. and the neighbor guy is banging on the door, and I loved this interaction. The neighbor's banging on the door. He's like, "Hey, what's all that noise? I haven't been able to sleep in 3 days." And then Sue opens the door, and he's like, like the auga, like eyes pop out of his head. And he's like, oh my gosh, you're home. And
I love
if you watch, he even kind of like bulks up a little bit, like he's trying to kind of go full macho. That dude just turns into an instant simp, which I love, because it's like you mentioned earlier with mirrors. It's like, this is all of you guys. Like, you would bend over backwards and do a somersault if the woman making noise was hot, but if she wasn't, you'd be like, "Hey, keep it down, or I'm calling the police." And this dude is just like, "Oh my gosh, it's cool to see you here. We should get like drinks or whatever. I'm super into like literally whatever you're into."
Right. I can help you out with anything. I got a big hammer. I mean, not that big a hammer, but you know.
Yeah, a serviceable hammer. A reasonable hammer is all that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so another shitty dude. We're at like 6. The only good dude so far has been Fred?
Fred.
I like Fred. Fred's the only guy in this movie that's not a dick.
Right.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth gets put in the closet, I think.
Yes, she.
And then we're ready to film, I think.
Can I ask this real quick? Did you guys get this vibe going back to putting Elizabeth in the closet? Like, it almost seems like Elizabeth / Sue they are sexual with other people, but they're almost monosexual. Like, Elizabeth is kind of into Sue, her own body, effectively. And Sue kind of, she's a little bit disgusted by Elizabeth, but it's Elizabeth is into Sue at parts.
Yeah, I think there's a disdain there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, do you think she also feels herself, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a part earlier, I think it's when Elizabeth wakes back up the first time after the first week of Sue. Mm-hmm. They're piled up on top, like they're like legs and arms intertwined naked on the bathroom floor. And like, again, a scene that like, if you try to describe like, there's these 2 women, they're fully naked, they're all curled up together. Like, this sounds like lesbian porn. This sounds like, but it's, again, not sexy. Like, I think that they are, like, there is something where like Elizabeth, there's almost like a sexuality to the way that she's so like excited about being, like the idea that she is in some way Sue. Like, she's like sexually attracted to the idea of being a younger, hotter version of herself.
Yeah, she's definitely bought into the idea that with the substance, like, you are the same person. This is the epitome of like living vicariously through somebody. Speaking of sexy, are you guys ready to pump it up?
Or pump it up.
Got ready? Can we pump it up right now?
Right. Like this whole exercise scene where it's just lady
porn.
Parts. It's
porn. The difference between the like 1980s, like, come on, you can do this, let's do this, and I mean like on all fours, like twerking, and just everyone is like damp and everything is bunched up. It is, TV in this universe is great.
Right, I guess so. This is on morning TV.
Yeah, but it's, again, the gap, Demi Moore's character was still stuck back in, like the 70s, early 80s, and now we've ramped this up to 2024. Like, this is that woman that sings Espresso just gyrating around on stage. Like, what is sexy and attractive? We're in the modern times now.
Exactly. It lingers on the parts, the lady bits, being the butt and the crotch area. Yeah, so long that it's actually...
I think we all know what the lady bits are. We're 3 married men. We know what the lady bits are. You don't have to tell me about lady bits.
I don't want to go too overboard. But basically it lingers on those shots so long that once again it's pointing it back at you. Mm-hmm. It's like, do you really like this?
I think, like there's a term that people use a lot in like a vague way, but here it is so literal, and that is that we are objectifying these women. Like, we're turning them into to objects. We're looking at the parts. Like, this could be like Cars or something. Like, it's just like if you watch like a Pimp My Ride kind of show. It's like, we're gonna zoom in on the wheels. We're gonna zoom in on the engine. We're gonna see all the cool parts that we're so excited about as dudes or whatever. And that's kind of how they're treating these women in this Pump It Up footage. Like, it is. We're not to wonder about like what Sue's rich inner life is. That has nothing to do with what we're seeing here. No. Like, this is This is just some objects moving in a way that is appealing to our, primitive brains.
Right. And another shot that I think Alex would appreciate, when she gives the sign off, we see that long hallway, no posters of Elizabeth whatsoever, just the one of Sue.
Yep. And we're going to slowly start filling that hallway with the posters. But with the first episode successfully filmed, it's time to go out and party, right? So
that's right, with the crew.
Yeah. Suits up like Catwoman.
She does.
Yes.
Yeah, and I wrote Catwoman suit ? And then in the club we all fam, because it was like the most stereotypical, like it's a bunch of attractive 20-somethings sitting on the back of an open top Mustang,
right?
Like taking off for the club. And this is where we see Motorcycle Guy, which is again why I kept stumping me. Why did Elizabeth see him in a vision, and this is the first time we see him? So I don't know if that was continuity or if I'm just overthinking it.
Yeah.
We also get, I think or after she dresses up, but before she leaves, she goes into the closet and sees that, it's switch day, and, the last little bit of food in the feeding bag is, about to run out, and she says, I need to go out and celebrate. Just don't eat too fast. I'll just wait up. I'll be home soon.
But that's so much disrespect to yourself. It's interesting.
Well, you kind of mentioned earlier that, I think we're talking about living vicariously. Elizabeth is living vicariously through Sue almost like a daughter, and Sue is very much treating Elizabeth like an overbearing, God, Mom, I just want to go out with my friends. So and you're right, there's that mother-daughter dynamic that kind of develops a little bit as well.
Yeah, and so when Sue gets back with Motorcycle Boy, they're fooling around on the couch and everything, and then we see that the food bag is fully empty now. It's shriveled up, there's nothing left in it.
We get the milkshake sip, the the last dregs of a milkshake through a straw sound. So we really know that we're running out of food here.
Right, but as Sue and whatever this guy is starts really getting into it, she just develops a nosebleed all of a sudden.
He's again, I don't think they say his name, but he's in the credits. He's credited as Troy.
Yeah, Troy. They don't say it, which is interesting. This is interesting that the guys get very little to any characterization.
Yeah,
they're pretty interchangeable as well in a lot of ways. So she has to obviously runs into the bathroom. She's vomiting blood at this point, and the camera cuts to the little ad or the instructions in the switch day that say no exceptions.
Every 7 days.
Yeah. But
what's one exception?
Switch.
What's one little exception?
It's just a couple hours. That's all.
Yeah. So she takes one of the used capsules from the stabilizer syringe and refills
some more of that fluid,
it.
Mom.
Yep. So she gets more spinal fluid and gives her just enough time to go out and have a roll in the hay with Troy. And again, we get Elizabeth snapping back with a hallucination where Sue is about to get down and dirty with Troy, and Troy unzips her Catwoman suit.
Yeah.
And all of her internal organs just spill out of her body. That's what Elizabeth, out of the back of the suit, and that's what Elizabeth wakes up to. So there's this recurring theme of that shock back to reality. They catch a kind of nightmarish version of whatever their other was doing before. And we also, we talked about what's that one little exception, that one little extra vial for a couple extra hours.
Yeah.
Well, surely there's no cost to that.
No cost, no consequences.
What about just a little case of witch finger? What if someone's got just the tiniest little case of witch finger going on? But we learn that there is an immediate repercussion to overdoing it and not following the rules.
Yeah, it'll age the older person.
Yeah, one of Elizabeth's hands has started to get very cronish.
Yes. And we ain't going to stop there, folks. But also, I do like the shot of her coming in to the whole mess of this young kid. There's beer bottles and whiskey bottles everywhere. What are you doing?
Yeah, and then Troy had a note on the glass that said too drunk to ride my bike home. I'll pick it up later.
You know what? So, good for him. Good for Troy.
That is some good decision making. It never comes up again, but I didn't realize with Troy, Sue, and with the male nurse that got Elizabeth hooked on it. Troy also has blue eyes. I suspect that a lot of people that we run into in this movie are taking the substance.
Right.
And it's just not relevant to the plot, because there's a lot of very attractive young people, and there's no, I think anyone with blue eyes, like bright blue eyes that are like obviously enhanced, because his were, even in a dark room, his eyes are like shining blue. I think
so is he Harvey?
Also,
is he young Harvey?
I don't think, I don't,
yeah.
I mean, you never know, it could be. So I think that a lot of people that were there were on this thing.
Oh yeah.
But Elizabeth, she's got witch finger. She realizes that Sue has done her wrong, and then she calls the substance helpline, which is a nice service that they offer.
Yeah, good for them.
But they're not very helpful.
No,
they just tell her, like, you're not to, because she's using the, like, well, she didn't follow the rules. It's like, there is no she. You're one person. You are the Matrix. And I think what's been used on one side is lost on the other, because she says, I need you to fix this. Said, what's used on one side is lost on the other. There's no going back. Respect the balance. You won't have any more inconveniences. So this is like,
gotta respect that balance.
This is you know,
warning.
This is strike one that, like, we might have some issues here.
Yeah. But because she doesn't want to respect the balance, it's like she's almost, in her mind, she's fighting Sue.
Yeah.
And she's just vacuuming around her house. She had a housekeeper, and obviously she's gotten rid of her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's running around picking things up and just yelling at herself to a degree.
Yeah, and then she just wants to go out and have a nice breakfast, brunch, or whatever,
Yeah.
and we get a ghost of Christmas future sort of situation. When the nurse earlier that gave her the thumb drive, he had a very distinct birthmark on his wrist. There's a not very healthy looking older gentleman sitting at the cafe that is just glaring at her, and she looks over and sees that birthmark. He also drops his wallet, and a card comes out for, you know, a locker. We realize this is
$270.
This is the old version of the nurse guy, and he's just like, his line got me, and this is where I think the movie takes a hard turn into horror, because he says it gets harder every time to remember that you still deserve to exist, which is what you talked about. This is also like an ageist sort of theme. And then he says, "Has she started yet? Eating away at you?" And this is where it very quickly is like, okay, welcome to the horror movie. This isn't going to be like a Freaky Friday sort of situation that we're dealing with.
By the way, I want to give this man props. To me, the actor is a star. Did you guys ever play the old Mega Race games?
No.
Okay,
No.
They were crappy FMV, like you were racing, but also it was kind of like Twisted Metal, where you had to blow up the other cars to beat them. This guy, Christian Eriksen, plays the main antagonist slash host of the Death Race, or Mega Race, Lance Boyle.
Lance Boyle.
Lance Boyle. Yep. So
that's a great character name.
Yep. So I got excited. That was my thing. But yes, I mean, we are now actually a horror movie instead of just a drama.
And Elizabeth, I mean, like, she's horrified. Like, she runs out of the diner. She, like, in fact, like, she runs home. I guess the diner is close to the house, so she, like, ends up crashing into Troy. And of course, she knows who he is, but he does not know who she is. And he's basically, you know, he's a dick. This old lady just ran into him. He's like, "What the fuck, you know? I'm trying to get out of here, lady."
He doesn't have any respect for her. He just yells at her, like you said. And yeah, it's like, "I don't know you. I don't care about you. Be gone."
Yeah, and the only reason she knows who he is because she doesn't remember him. The sticky note that says, "I'm coming back from my motorcycle." And again, she had that brief flash of him the one time she was like waking up. So she's like all up in her head. We've taken that turn down the horror direction. And then she makes what could have been the only good decision and possibly could have saved the whole movie.
Could have.
She finds the phone number from Fred.
Yep.
And like, she's like, now she's going to try to generate worth for herself. Like, she's like, okay, the Sue thing's kind of cracked. I need to find someone that will value me. And I'm confident that Fred would have fixed these problems.
He's a little awkward, but he would have been fine.
Yeah, he was like the most normal human person. Even the way that people speak in the movie, like everyone talked with this soap opera-ish
exaggerated.
cadence. He talked like a normal dude, like stumbled over words. And when she calls and talks to him on the phone, she's like, "Hey, I are you there?" Like, "Hey, it's good to talk to you." And he's quiet. And she's
Sorry,
like,
I'm in
he's
shock.
like, "Sorry, I'm in shock." Like, he's a normal, friendly dude. And so
I really like that. Like, the silence, like I think it happens like 2 or 3 times over the call, and every time she's at such a low place that she thinks that he's like, you know, that he's hung up or that he's not interested, and has to like ask for him to reassure her. You know, which is wild. Like, as we said, like, you know, we've got Demi Moore and this kind of like just regular schlubby dude, but that's how low she's feeling right now.
She's seeking validation from him. And I love that they didn't show him, because you know that if they had, on the opposite end of that call, he would have been like, you know,
he's
so
holding
amazing.
the phone away, just like, don't get sick. Like, this is your chance. Like, she's so perfect.
Don't mess this up.
And then this was, in my opinion, the saddest. Like, this was the most upset I got the whole movie, because he's like, I'll make us a reservation at Luigi's. I'm expecting that there's going to be a scene where she kind of works through some stuff. She gets dressed in like very nice clothes. She does makeup. She looks absolutely gorgeous. Like,
perfect.
It looks incredible. It's, in my opinion, it's the best she's looked all movie, because she looks like a woman her age. Like, she's not wearing revealing clothes. She's wearing like a nice dress, but you know, it's nothing over the board.
She also has the gloves on to hide the witch finger.
Yeah, to hide the witch finger. She does like nice makeup, and she's like about to go out the door, and she sees her reflection in the doorknob, and it's distorted. It's it's like that fisheye thing where her face looks kind of distorted and kind of crooked, and she's locked into that view of herself, and then she runs back to the bathroom. And I think this is like the scene that needs to be put in front of whoever's deciding the awards. It is just a complete and total meltdown. Like, she tries to add more makeup, but then she starts like smearing it. I mean, she's trying to literally pull her own face off, which was kind of
there's a couple times.
Yeah.
After she sees Sue, she literally sees Sue, and she's like, oh, I could do my lips like her. She tries that, and she's like, well, I could do this. And then every time she almost leaves, but then she thinks about what Sue would have done.
Yeah.
And tries to emulate Sue. And that's when it's like, you can't do that. That's Sue. That's who she is, not you.
Yeah. And the whole time that this is going on, we're also seeing the clock ticking. Right. Like, you know, she's late. She's getting later. And yeah, like you said, it ends with her smearing lipstick all over her face and just kind of like collapsing on the floor. We see her phone like across the room, like as if she's just like angrily thrown it. And we're seeing texts coming in from Fred, like, I know you're busy. Are you okay? Like,
right. He's worried about it.
Yeah, he genuinely cares. And, you know, like, it's not like, this could definitely be like, he thinks he stood up and he's just like, fuck you, bitch. But like, no, he cares. He's checking on her. And I'm sure he obviously, you know, like, there's probably a part of him who's like, of course she's going to stand me up. She's better than me. But he's he's reaching out in like a kind way, at least.
Yeah, that's why it was so crushing for me, because it was two people that had exactly what the other one needed. He just wanted to care about her. She just needed someone to care about her in that exact way. And like that, they both lost immensely. This was, for me, this was like the most upsetting scene of the whole movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and because of that, she has depression quiche.
Yep. Like you do.
She opens the fridge. We see a bunch of leftovers in there. She pulls out the quiche and closes it.
Yeah, a whole turkey is in there.
Yeah. And so then we just cut to, now we're back in Sue land. We're filming Pump It Up again.
You guys ready to pump it up again?
Again.
Yeah.
Contract.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just
And this time Sue, like, you know, she like does a move where she's like putting her head between her legs. She's like bent over as far as she possibly can be bent over, and sees. Yeah, she sees like a bubble sort of like push out of her ass, like something's underneath her flesh.
She's like, oh.
And she freaks out. She stops filming.
Well, the camera guys are like, hey, we saw something weird on there. Let's review it for the whole crew. The whole crew.
Frame
in super slow motion on a wall-sized TV screen. Let's see what just happened.
And I thought this was really good, too, because, like, so as soon as that happens, she asks for a bathrobe. Like, she, you know, she's in her, like, you know, little skin-tight outfit for the show. And previously has just been walking around, you know, she walks around her apartment in, like, panties and a tight T-shirt. Like, she's very comfortable in her body. But suddenly she needs a bathrobe because her flaws are now on display, because that's the, you know, you can never be perfect enough. Like, she is supposed to be this perfect woman, and now her, you know, everyone is going to be scrutinizing her flaws, and she's suddenly aware that maybe she's not as perfect as she wanted to be.
But Anthony, are there flaws?
Yeah. So she ends up, she goes to her dressing room, and it feels around and like physically finds this lump and is able to move it around on her body.
Yeah.
This is real nasty body horror. Like, she ends up moving it to her stomach and reaching into her belly button.
What does she pull out?
And she pulled a whole leg from that turkey or rotisserie chicken or whatever. Like,
right. So this was a dream.
Yeah, it was another hallucination.
Yes.
It was her snap out dream. Again, they're both seeing shades of what their other was doing that maybe they wouldn't want them to do, like riding on a motorcycle or having sex with strangers or eating
whole
junk
fucking chicken.
food. She snaps out of it, and this is where we see them start to like really hate each other. And they're both having these like body horror disfigurement nightmares when they swap.
Well, because at this point, like we were talking about the whole mother-daughter dynamic, she's now cleaning up after her mother, who's left the house as a mess, almost as a reflection of her drinking. But this is food and like just refuse.
Yeah.
Versus bottles.
Yeah, there's definitely a contrast here where they're having to pick up after each other's messes. And she's so mad she calls the substance hotline as well. And again, the voice on the other line is not sympathetic. He's just very matter of fact, giving instructions. Again, remember you are one. Yeah,
yep. You are one.
Yeah.
But the hard work's paying off though.
Yeah.
Sue gets offered a chance to host the New Year's event with Harvey.
Well, yeah. As she comes in, like they're cleaning up her studio. Your show's canceled. It's done.
It's done. And Harvey wants to see you in his office.
It definitely like she's still got like residual like
trauma,
body issues from the nightmare, and is like, oh, I guess I'm no good anymore. They just got rid of me. Right. But yeah, it's a little surprise that Harvey actually has sort of a promotion for her. She's too good for the morning show. She's going to get a better show. They're going to. And the big thing is there's a New Year's Eve spectacular, and they want her to be the star of the show.
You can't go higher than that. Which. No, I feel like if you're doing New Year's Eve, you're almost done.
Yeah, right? Like Dick Clark's rocking New Year's Eve, where it's like a bunch of people that the last couple of years, like people I've never even heard of. So but again, we're in an alternate universe where Jazzercise and the New Year's Eve spectacular are the pinnacle of society, I guess.
Amazing.
But she knows she's got a lot of work to do, and so she really doubles down on taking advantage of Liz here.
Right.
And
But only she agrees immediately. She doesn't even consult her calendar. It's like, oh, was this going to be a Sue Day or Elizabeth Day? No, I'm in. Let's go.
It's a Sue Day. So it's unclear about the time, but it's obviously longer than 7 days. And we start to see not only is the point on Liz's back that she's drawing this stuff from is getting not great looking. The last vial of it that she pulls out, because she's like, one more day and then we'll swap. If you watch as she pulls it out, there's like little gubbins of stuff in the vial. So like it's starting to get infected and tainted and pretty nasty. So it's unclear how long she stretches it, but she stretches it for a while. And then what I wrote is when she does finally trade back over, she's done all of her prep work she needs. Elizabeth now has 4th stage goblin leg with a size of hag face and a full serving of witch hand. So she developed a pretty substantial. She's not looking great.
No, like she's going full D&D crone, right?
Yeah, it's crone, which plays into probably my second favorite scene in the whole movie here shortly. Elizabeth calls again because now, I mean, she can't hide it anymore. She could put a glove on, but the rest of it, it's her face. Her hair is all kind of like dried and, it looks like straw. She calls again and is like, she's not following the rules. They're still playing this blame game. And they were like, okay, well,
you're the Matrix.
You can terminate if you want to, but once you terminate, it's done. And once she hears, like, we're going to take it away from you, she very quickly backs down again and is like, no, it's just, we're going to respect the balance. Like, she hard and fast that it's going to happen.
I wish.
Yeah.
It would have been nice for her.
So the next scene, can we get into the cooking scene? Because this was my second favorite scene of the whole show.
Can we? Well, I mean, like we were going to. So she's sitting there. She's still watching TV all day, every day, it seems like. That's all she's doing. But her leg doesn't want to work now because the goblin leg, she almost has to break the joint to even get it to move.
It was painful to watch.
Oh, yeah. She wants to get to that book, that gift she was given, that French gift.
The gift that she was given was the worst cookbook I've ever seen in my life. Like, there was nothing that I don't think she'd said anything earlier that would have made it sound like she was interested in, like, cooking. No. But the cookbook that Harvey got for her is, like, 18th century recipes, like kind of cabin cooking. And so she gets all these groceries, and she's watching an interview of Sue on TV from the previous week talking about how amazing her life is. And Sue is kind of talking down to Elizabeth. They're like, well, you come in and you replaced Elizabeth. What do you know about her? She's like, I didn't really watch her show. It's kind of like, what you call it?
It was old-fashioned.
Exercise for Dinosaurs or whatever. My mom probably loved it. And while that's happening, Elizabeth is making these recipes that are like blood sausage and apples and like boiled goose. And she's like throwing things in pans, and there's these gross noises. She has like a bowl of eggs, and she pulls out like an electric beater that they have overlaid the sound of a chainsaw.
And
she puts it down in the eggs, and it splatters into her face like gore would. And all that I could think is it was like a witch brewing a potion, because she's also cursing Sue. Like, she's covered in like eggs. She runs into the living room like holding the beater. She's like, tell them where you got your looks. Like, tell them you stole them from me.
Share your beauty secret with us.
Yeah, share your beauty secret. She like dips a bunch of newspaper in the like egg and like plasters it all over the window. So now she's like blocking out the outside world. So she's gone full hag like witch. But the thing of her like, a witch brewing a potion and casting spells, I couldn't get over that look. I thought that was such a cool visual.
Right.
There's also one of the things she's met, like there's like a dough or something that she's like pulling, and it looks fleshy, but it's like wrinkled, like it looks like, gross aged flesh. Like and the camera again is like zooming in on the dough and on the like the sausages that are boiled. Like it looks like it's treating this food the same way it's been treating the bodies, and in a way that's like, this is all just gross. This is the stuff of life, bodies getting old and sex and eating. It's all just kind of nasty, and like it's just really making you like think about the gross parts of being alive.
Have you all seen the movie Existenz?
Yep.
The scene with Jude Law where he's making the gun, like this was the grossest food like body horror. Watching Jude Law like eat that gross monster to make a gun out of it, this very much reminded me of Existence. And there was a lot of like not subtle nods to Cronenberg stuff.
Oh yeah.
When later on, when Sue starts falling apart, she loses like her fingernails, her teeth, and her ear. That is exactly what falls off
Brundle fly.
Yeah, in The Fly. So I like that. Like, I love unsubtle nods to like the people that got you here, more or less.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. That's a great thing to do, because this happens to a person who does not acknowledge the past. They don't acknowledge the people who got them there, the person who got them there, versus the movie doing that exact thing.
I didn't even think about it. That adds an even better, like, yeah, that the director of the movie is doing the thing that all of the stars refuse to do. That's
right.
That's genius.
To further, like, so we had the scene early on with Elizabeth in the shower. Then we had the scene with Sue in the shower. Now we have crone Elizabeth in the shower, and again the camera does the same shots, but by the end of this she has like she's laying in the fetal position on the floor of the shower, like crying, and she's like hitting her face, like she's like both emotionally and physically beating herself up, and she says, you have got to yeah, she's going to say you have to control yourself, but it cuts to Sue finishing the sentence. Because now she's seeing the mess that Elizabeth has left, the pasted over window and everything, and she's telling. So they both are like, we got to take control. We've got to.
Right. I've got to take control, not her.
Yeah, we've got to get our other half under control.
Yeah, and then it's just...
She calls her gross old rat.
Yeah, but then it's complete war. Like, Sue brings every jar in the house into the bathroom and, like, fills them with Liz juice. Like, she drains
she's like,
her...
I got 3 months, baby.
Yeah, so...
You're going to give me all that good stuff.
Yeah, so she's stealing as much of that, the stabilizer as she can to get her up to, like, the New Year's show. And just, by happenstance kismet, she has just enough to last her until the day before the New Year's show. Because as she's getting ready for it, she starts to she realizes that, there's no more left.
Yeah, by the way, that wound's getting pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's a little bit of sepsis, I think. It's real gross what she's having to... And when she goes to pull out a final vial of it to get her through the New Year's Day event, I mean, it's just brown sludge. It's not... So, again, we call the substance manufacturers... I loved this scene because she's like, hey, I need one more day, but I can't get any more. And they say, oh, well, you've used it all, which I loved this thing because it means like they know that this is going to happen. You're not the first person to screw this up. They were like, yeah, it means that, you've used it all. The only way to get this to work is you've got to swap back over. That's the only time that the stabilizer will regenerate. So for them, this is like business as usual, which that was the thing I had in the notes. And I love and hate that the movie did this. We never find out who these people are. Again, the movie never even talks about money. So it's not even clear if anyone's paying for this or like if they're doing it for research purposes, if they're just like, we never get any clue who they are, why they're doing it, or what anyone is getting out of this. Because it's pretty clear everyone that uses this stuff ends up fucking it up and dying. So
yeah.
Well, this is definitely, it's the devil's bargain, right?
Yeah.
What are you getting out of it? A favor later, right?
Misery. I get misery out of it. So but so Sue does finally have to swap, and Liz wakes up, and the notes that I was taking, just on sticky notes, I just wrote Crypt Keeper X Ross Perot was what I saw immediately.
This is full hag, right?
Yeah. But like, again, in like not a scary way, in like a pathetic way. Like I felt bad. Like it reminded me of like Gollum. Like Gollum from Lord of the Rings is very tough to look at, but tough to look at in like they look uncomfortable and like they're in pain and they look scared. Like they weren't fully disfigured like the Fly. Like this is the thing. You're like, man, I saw her and I was like, man, this sucks. Like I feel so bad for her. This is the opposite of what she wanted.
She's not a monster. She's just an older person.
Yeah.
But also, though, we didn't mention that this all occurred while Sue had her boyfriend over for the past couple months. And, like, he comes in and he's like, what's going on? And Elizabeth's like, get the fuck out, as she slams the door in his face.
Vomiting stuff onto the floor as well.
Right. And he's like, he sees blood, and he's like, is this about your lady business? Oh, man.
They're stupid idiots. I love it.
Yeah. By the way, that's a great way to just get broken up with. Just say that business.
And he then, Liz bangs on the door and like yells in her crony voice, like, get out of here. And he, like naked, grabs his pants and runs out the door. He's like, I'm out. This isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah. Proving that we're not just going to objectify women. We're going to see the dude flapping dong a little bit.
Yeah, we get to, there's got to be something here for everybody. So Liz finally follows through and calls back and manages to bundle herself up like a little babushka. And she goes to get the termination fluid from the... I wish we had a name for them. The substance havers, whoever it is that's doing this. But she goes and gets it, and is like committed to ending it because she's been turned into a monster, and she follows through, and we roll credits, right?
Yeah. No.
Dang it.
Yep. By the way, she's quick for an older person.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And at first, I kind of didn't like that because I was like, they made her so like nimble, but it was kind of like that just desperation. Like she was functioning on adrenaline and just, needed to get this done. But she gets and I love that it's just a syringe that says termination. And it's just filled with like black ooze. And so
that way it's done.
Yeah. She drags Sue out of the bathroom and has her laying on the floor, and then we get the old Pulp Fiction syringe to the solar plexus. On her,
and she starts injecting Sue. This is good for Sue, guys.
We're about to end this, but she's weak in like the most sad way. She's weak. So
but she looks at Sue, and she's like, "You're the best part of me. I got to stop that. That's so awful."
But it's what the advertising said. She's bought in. This is like sunk cost fallacy, because if you kill Sue, the best part of you is gone, and you're stuck. Like if she knew that she would revert back to 50-year-old Demi Moore, she'd do it in a heartbeat. But like sunk cost, you're lost. So you're getting rid of the only good thing you have left is her mentality.
Right.
Yeah. The thing she says there is she says, "I need you because I hate myself."
Such a rough. Man.
Yeah.
So
Hollywood's awful. It's the worst.
Yeah. So she starts kind of like she's only injected about half of it. So she pulls it out. She starts trying to like do like resuscitation. Like she is trying to bring Sue back to life, and it doesn't seem like it's going to work.
Hey, we got that reactivator stuff.
Yeah. So suddenly, she when she hits Sue with that, Sue wakes up, and Elizabeth is still awake. So they're
You can't have
seeing
that.
each other for the first time. And, this goes against all of the You Are One, that you can't be both at the same time. And this is when the movie sort of descends into like Sam Raimi cartoonish violence for a little bit.
It becomes absurdist to the max from this point onward.
How many times does Elizabeth get Spartan kicked? Three?
The one across the room is phenomenal. That's what I had in my notes, that it leaves the failure to finish off the termination fluid, leaves both Sue and Liz active, and also leads to one of the weirdest and most one-sided fights I've ever seen put to film.
Yeah. But Sue also realizes, hey, you tried to kill me. This was attempted murder on my part.
Yeah.
She sees the termination fluid on the ground.
Yeah.
And the best part of the whole fight, like Elizabeth tries to lock herself in the bathroom, Sue breaks the door down.
She's superhuman at this point.
Yeah, and we've had so many scenes of every character looking at themselves in the mirror and scrutinizing themselves, and now you have Sue holding Elizabeth's face, like she's holding her by the hair. Look, they're both looking in the mirror together, and then she just starts smashing Elizabeth's face into the mirror over and over and over again, and just decimating her face. Blood is splattering everywhere. They're both drenched in cartoonish amounts of blood.
But then the fight scene's still not over. It still goes on because it gets dragged all out to the living room. I wrote down 80s Jean-Claude Van Damme versus 90s Haley Joel Osment was the fight scene here. It was kicks her clear across the room, and then through a glass table, and then comes up and just what did I put? Just stomps her to death. Said kick across the room with big Sparta vibes. Then she stomps poor Liz into goulash. She just completely crushes her, and then
that's the end of Elizabeth.
Yeah, and with Elizabeth being dead, and this is where again it kind of ties back into there's only one of you, and then we're led to believe, well, no, there's actually two of them. We're immediately reminded, oh no, there is only one of them, because with Liz dead, Sue's got nothing left. There's no more source of life for her. So, we've started the countdown, and so she's just hoping she can get through the New Year's thing.
Right. And we get a good shot with her sitting over Elizabeth's body. Blood is still rushing out of Elizabeth. It's hooked up to a pump.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sue is just covered in it, just splattered all over her face. I feel did the screens flash the You Are One thing over this too to remind her that, and then I think we cut right to her back at the studio. She's going through hair and makeup and costume, getting all ready for the show.
But this is to tie on what you said, the absurdity of it. She's my guess is the sexiest woman in the country. She's about to be on the biggest event all year, which is this New Year's thing. And they've put her in a quinceañera dress.
Right.
It's nothing sexy or revealing. It's this high, you can't see any cleavage. It's this giant bell of a dress. Thing. Yeah, to me, it looks like a quinceañera kind of dress, like a Disney princess ball gown. And she starts literally falling apart. Her teeth come out, her fingernails come off, an ear falls off. She can't talk to Harvey. He approaches, he's like, oh, tonight's the big night. He's got these gross, old white-haired men around him. They're like, I just wanted to show them, the star. And she, can't even smile because her teeth are falling out.
He says, you need to smile because pretty girls smile. Gross shit. Gross as shit.
The dialogue was so rough.
Yeah.
It was so nasty.
And she gives him she smiles with her lips closed. And those guys, he specifically calls them the shareholders, which I thought that was really good.
He's even dehumanizing them.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. They're just an amorphous body.
But thankfully, a bunch of showgirls come running down the hall, all in little G-string thongs and big feathery things, and they're all the shareholders and Dennis Quaid are getting slapped in the face with feathers, and they're like, ooh, feathers, and so they chase after the showgirls. So Sue's
Harvey
able
is
to get
nothing
away.
but id. Yeah. That's all this guy is.
100%. So Sue rushes back to the apartment because there's only one answer, because what did the ad for the substance say it would do?
Yeah.
It would make a better version of you. So she just needs a better version of her.
But how could you get better than Sue? Well, we're about to find out, right?
Anthony, do you want to field that question? What's better than Margaret Qualley?
Right. Well, it's still going to be Margaret Qualley.
Yeah. And
but
I did
with
read,
a little bit of Demi Moore in there.
That was actually her in the prosthetics. That was actually Margaret Qualley. She like insisted on it, which I think is awesome.
Wow.
But,
yeah. We have like, and that there's like when we see it from the back, and you see. Well, so we should say so. Like she injects herself with the remaining activator, and we get another sequence of the split. But this time it's more body horror. It's even trippier.
Well, this goes. Remember the fire we were talking about when Sue first got conceived, basically. Well, this one's distorted.
Yeah,
it's almost like the heart's just going out in all kinds of different directions.
And the eye scene that we had earlier, where we saw the pupil split, now we see it split like dozens and dozens of times. It's just like everything's breaking down. And so we again get like a POV shot of whatever this new thing is waking up. And when it goes to the mirror, it is a horrific monster. It looks like something out of like the movie Society or like a Screaming Mad George kind of creation.
Ears and eyes, and Liz's face is on the back of the neck, just like mouth open in this like rictus scream. It was.
You know what else we get? We get a card that says "Monstrous Lisa Sue."
Yeah.
Lisa.
It's Monstro. Like it was. It was Spanish, wasn't it? It was like Monstro Elisa Sue.
Yeah. And we. So she's looking at herself. She's got like. And I think, like, it's interesting that it's Margaret Qualley in the suit, but then, like, I think when we see Elizabeth on the back, I think that's also really Demi Moore. Like,
yeah, it is.
Like, like, her face looks horrified, and, yeah, like, we see there's, like, a jaw with, like, teeth jutting out of one of her breasts. It's just, like, really...
Oh, there are breasts everywhere.
And we hear a flashback of the casting guys being like, it would be better if she had... boobs where that nose was, and but she's got everything in the right place. And then we see again this monster with everything in all of the places.
I was 100% confident the movie was going to end right there, because that quote from those two guys earlier, the casting guys, like everything right where it should be. I thought that was going to cut there, and then it doubles down on the absurdity that this Elisa Sue in the mirror that we've been looking at the whole movie starts doing makeup and like pressing like piercings into these like growths. It's not even an ear, it's just like this pustule, and like putting on makeup, and then finds like a not an opera mask, what am I looking for?
No, she cuts out the face of Elizabeth.
Yeah, cuts out a face and like staples it to her head.
No, she super glues it to her face.
Sorry, yeah, she super glues.
Also, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that either. But she's committed. Like she's like, I gotta go, and she still like has this ball gown dress kind of wrapped around parts of her. There's this weird, like an umbilical cord dragging on the ground behind her. This is, I think, the grossest Cronenbergian mashup I think I've ever seen.
But it's also interesting that this is the purest form of Elizabeth / Sue.
I don't know about
the one that accepts it. But it's the only one that really accepts itself. Like it looks in the mirror and is like, I'm all right.
Oh, I think we just got back to that like sunk cost. Like if you got all these lemons, might as well make lemonade. Like what else are you going to do at that point? You gotta, and that's you put on your face, which is again that kind of
literal
metaphor for makeup and plastic surgery or whatever, and you go and do it.
And she like draws lipstick on the mouth of the poster.
Yes.
Like, and I think we hear a voiceover of like "Pretty girls always smile," and she just like makes like a Joker smile basically on the cutout of Demi Moore's face.
And then somehow she gets back to the event site.
Right.
I would have loved to have seen a clip of her hailing a cab or something.
But if it tells you anything, the guy on set or the guy at the door is just like, we've been expecting.
Yeah, and that again, it just keeps tunneling deeper into absurdity. That like she is, even while she's walking out on stage, she's got the mask, this paper cutout of her face over her face, and it's like nobody. They're like, oh my gosh, there she is. That's Sue, this woman that we love. It's not until the super glue fails and the mask falls off that we get the most Frankensteinian like monster, like women standing up and like that ear-piercing shriek, and people yelling like, shoot it, kill it, like kill the monster, as she's trying to like, I don't think she says I'm not a monster, but she's like trying to, through this like misshapen mouth, trying to mumble out,
and that's when the Elizabeth face is actually trying to respond too.
which she's like begging.
Yeah, she keeps saying, it's me. Like, you should know me. I'm Sue. You all love her, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then somebody runs up on stage and with an axe, I guess from a fire box or whatever, and chops her head off. And then a new head just immediately starts to like birth itself out of the neck hole.
Yeah.
And blood starts spraying everywhere.
It's common.
One of her arms falls off, and it's literally like a fire hose.
Yeah.
I looked at the special effects card for it. 21,000 liters of fake blood, and they had one shot because it ruined the theater. But they used 21,000 liters of fake blood to spray.
So like everybody's covered in blood, even the dancers who have their breasts out, basically, they're all covered in blood. This is literally an orgy of blood.
Yeah,
almost at this point.
The song that was playing under there, because I heard it, was like, that's a really cool song. I found it. It's not an artist I'd ever heard of before. Anna von Hauswolf, and the song is called "Ugly and Vengeful."
Right,
is the song that's like playing under that.
Perfect.
So a nice little
great
deal. And then again, we've got more references to The Shining. Just everything being coated in blood. And
well, this is like Carrie, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that scene felt like it went on forever, but like perfectly. Like you keep expecting it to end, and we're just down this
keep going
weird rabbit hole of absurdity. People keep getting sprayed, and they're like slipping in the blood and like falling on each other, and there's sparks and everything coming out of everywhere, and she's still up on stage trying to yell at people like, it's me, please, it's me. And she finally is forced to flee the theater.
Right. But she also remembers, once again, the quote about boobs in the center of her face, or should have a boob where her nose is. Pretty girls should always smile, and at 50, it stops.
We see the hallway again, completely, floors, walls, ceiling, just covered in blood, so that kind of iconic long hallway we've seen has also just been gore splattered.
So the monster version does escape outside, and remembering that someone had told it to break a leg earlier, does just that and falls on the ground and explodes.
Yeah, and this is the other
just like
sad
splatters.
Part. Yeah, I mean,
it's
but
sad.
Splatters apart, and the only thing that makes it away from that splattered part is this little. It's Elizabeth's face on just this little prehensile arm that just drags itself down the sidewalk, and it ends up in the only place the movie could end, which is on top of her star, on top of the Elizabeth Sparkle star. And we get this, I mean, there's no other word but like a dream sequence. As it's in the middle of the night, there's no street lights or whatever, so just this cold, dark stone with what remains of Elizabeth laying on top of it, just her face, really. And all of a sudden, this golden light kind of comes down, and she hears people cheering and applauding, and there's glitter and like flashes of...
It's her snow globe.
It's snow globe.
Yeah, it's the snow globe. So we get that kind of recreated, and then she fades into that very same goo that was in the snow globe. Dissolves, and then we get my favorite shot of the whole movie, just her blood-stained star as a little walk-behind street sweeper just clears off the remains that were sitting on top. So
Yep.
So, yeah. And that's the end
it takes
of
us full circle.
Yeah.
Pretty gross, but wonderful.
So not an abrupt ending.
I hope... I didn't realize, because obviously I knew Demi Moore's name growing up, and I've seen a bunch of her movies. It's wild to me that this was like the Golden Globe she got was her first like major award. That's crazy with someone of the career path of her, which I think it's also like the perfect casting for someone. And I'm sure I need to spend more time reading some of the interviews. I'd love to hear her take on that whole process and being cast in this role.
Well, I mean, here's my opinion. Demi Moore is one of the... I think she was the only person who could do this, because she's fearless. She was in G.I. Jane. What was it? Was it Striptease?
Striptease, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she is a very brave person that doesn't give a shit.
Two of the things I actually read, which I wholeheartedly agree with you on all that, she was very nervous about the nude scenes, because it was, to Anthony's point, it wasn't doctored up, and it was very, here's what it is. She was very nervous about it, and I know in a lot of the interviews she said Margaret Qualley helped her through a lot of that, and she felt much more comfortable with her. What I also read that kind of blew my mind, Margaret Qualley was naked in quite a few scenes. Those were not her real breasts. Those were prosthetic breasts because she has a smaller figure, and they wanted her to look like a pinup girl,
Barbie doll.
So
at that time in the movie, she's basically dressed up like a Barbie doll.
Yeah, but I thought the kind of irony of that, like, we're doing this show with a substance about like a perfect person. We're casting you. We are going to again give your character unrealistic or not real to your body dimensions, like an even more subtle layer of like how they're playing this whole thing. Like, even you're not as absurdly perfect as we need this character you're playing to be for all these nude scenes. So I thought that was also kind of a wild other layer of that.
But I mean, that speaks to body dysmorphia, right? Our system and our society is pretty cruel to people that are just different in any form, especially physically. So,
I'm just glad that us three grown men could come together and really solve all these problems. And
yeah.
The title of this one's going to have mansplain in it somewhere, isn't it? But to your point, it's so nice. It was such a cool way to watch, because it would have been such an easy thing to like wave off or make these characters really vapid. They could have turned Elizabeth into a bad character. They could have made her, the first time she sees someone, like with Fred comes up and sees her and she's like, ooh, gross. Like, I'll call the police if you come at me. They could have made her a villain, and that would have fit more into that, like, attractive and rich women are just these vain, horrible people. It's nice that they didn't go down that path, because it would have been easy to do, and it probably would have pulled in a completely different crowd. So I think it's great that they avoided those tropes and kept this really focused on the problem, and that the way people are objectified affects their mentally. And like you said, body dysmorphia is a product of the people around you. So that the bad people here aren't the ones that suffered. It's the people around them that put them into that state and caused them to be that way.
Yeah.
Harvey
didn't have any issues at all during this movie. He was fine.
Yeah. I don't, and I just rewatched it. It didn't show him getting out of the theater. Like, it would have been super tropey to watch. That's the thing. I wanted him to die, but it would have been too tropey for that to happen. So, I mean, again, hats off for not, having her drown him in blood. The idea that, like, the ultimate villain of the movie probably got up the next morning and was like, all right, well, we gotta fill a morning and an evening time slot for January 1st.
All right, who's our new Sue?
Yeah, exactly. So the cycle continues, because presumably they're still pumping substance out in anyone that'll have it. So,
yep.
Dang.
See, I told you this one needed some gravitas.
I should have put a blazer on. You're right. I missed out here. So you all have more experience with this. Where does this fall for you all on the gross out body horror scale? Where would this fall on which end of the scale would it be on for what you all have seen?
I was about to say, you're asking a couple different questions there, because as far as what we could stand, like, I could go to the
I wasn't asking what you could stand. I assume there's no limit for you all. I meant as far as what movies you've seen before.
We go dirty.
Where does this fall on the scale of what you've seen before?
Yeah, as far as body horror.
As far as body horror, I mean, it's.
I'd still give it a 7, 8.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, it's like I think the only thing we've watched for the show that's like similarly body horror focused is like the the Reanimator movies,
and they're way tamer than this. Yeah,
or
it's wild to say that.
To some degree, maybe like the Human Centipede movies, but that's a different whole different kind of ball game. This really cranks it up to a level that we haven't really dealt with on this show for the most part. And I feel like when I first watched it, I was like, I don't know if it's a Frankenstein movie or not. Like, I really kind of thought about it because, I think the more I think about it, it definitely is. I think
I kind of had to talk you into it, because I was dead set, and you were like, I didn't think about it that way. I was like, oh, well, I'm obviously wrong. If anyone knows if it's a Frankenstein movie, it's you. And you actually brought up it's more along the lines of like a Picture of Dorian Gray or Jekyll and Hyde thing, but I couldn't get the Frankenstein, monster inside, sort of a misunderstood monster kind of thing.
Yeah, no. Well, and once again, going back to the mirrors, like that's a trope in most Frankenstein related properties. It has to see itself and see itself as a monster, and that happens.
I think if you like if you go at it from like the people who are making the substance as the mad scientist, then it kind of breaks down. But if you think of like Elizabeth is the Victor Frankenstein here, and she has created the monster of Sue. That's where like I think it really clicks into place. Like she is trying to make this better thing, like Victor is trying to make this better thing, and then everything falls apart because of that. It's Elizabeth's. Her body's, this is her madness, her mad science thing is body dysmorphia. Like that is the thing she's trying to fix. And, it ends up unleashing this monster that destroys her life and that she has to kill it. And, that's the Frankenstein angle in it for sure.
Well, and again, forgive my Frankenstein-based ignorance. Is it a common trope in the Frankenstein movies or in the Frankenstein stories where Dr. Frankenstein, relatively early on, considers destroying his creation, or is he bought in 100% of the time?
Pretty early on, yeah.
Okay. So
at least he rejects it early.
Gotcha.
On.
So that kind of like initial, she's upset about it, then she has that moment of like, I'm going to do it, and then still can't. Okay. Gotcha. I need to consume more Frankenstein-related stuff. If only there was a cool podcast I could listen to.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Well, I very much appreciate you all letting me come back for this one. This was a great one.
I'm glad to have you.
It's nice to hear people that are so bought in on stuff, and I learn something new every time. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, we were really glad to have you on. I'm glad that you twisted my arm and got us to do this one because. When like everyone was talking about it when it first came out, I was like, well, I don't really want to do like a real spoilery episode about it because I don't want to ruin it for people. And also like, sometimes when things are talked to death, you kind of like, do I have anything more that I can say about it? But like, I think the Frankenstein angle specifically that we can look at, I think it's worth looking at it from that angle. I think we have something to offer there, and yeah, I definitely appreciated your insight. Like I think. Having you here was definitely helpful. I think we got a lot of interesting takes and angles talking about this. So
yeah, it's definitely good stuff.
Yeah, thanks
for coming.
Appreciate
it.
Yeah.
Well, do we have anything else to say about it?
I think that's all I have to say.
Whew, oh, thank goodness. I mean, that was kind of draining, but it was also cathartic, right? I feel like I've got a lot out about that, and I think a lot of things need to be said. And if this doesn't get the Oscar, I'm going to be mad. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see that. Like, I think that would definitely signal a new generation of the Academy Awards. Like, I think, I would really like to see, I mean, like, sure, Shape of Water a couple years ago, but Shape of Water is still a prestige-y, art housey kind of movie. This would say, like, we're open to looking at everything based on the merits. Like, we're coming to a movie on its terms, right. and finding what it has to say. And yeah, I think it would be really, really great to see this win several Oscars.
And Hollywood dishing out an award of a movie that is a pretty open criticism of Hollywood and how it does its thing. That's always just some nice justice. Like, thanks for giving the award about the movie about how damaging and destructive awards can be.
Right,
I mean, the movie starts with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Most people that win the award probably get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So it's, again, nice kind of full circle.
It's a beautiful irony, right?
Beautiful irony.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we've spent some time with the substance. Let's go to a little bit of a cozier direction next week and go to The House of the Wolfman.
Yeah, this is one that somebody put this on my radar. I've not seen this. It's a relatively recent movie, but I think it is a very like retro vibes kind of movie.
Yeah,
is my understanding. Like I think
it's
black and white. Yeah. So I think it's a modern movie, maybe kind of low budget, but like trying to evoke like the Universal movies. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about this one because I don't remember where I heard about it, but somebody else was like, "Hey, you guys should check this out," and I'm glad they did because it definitely looks like something that's right up our alley.
Oh yeah. All right, where can they find us, Anthony?
So you can find us on all the socials at the Frankencast. We've been lately saying we're also on TikTok. I guess we still technically are. We'll see how long that lasts. But for the time being, we are. And you can also find us, on YouTube, where we're trying to post videos now more often. You can also email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. And of course, we're over at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where if you want to give us a couple bucks a month. You can see, or you can get, an extra episode every week about all sorts of different things that are a little further off the beaten path and don't quite fit into our main feed format. So we'd love to have you over there.
Absolutely. All right. Well, then, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.